Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials if you would be so kind: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and listen to us on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher. There's a couple other ones too. You can find us out there at Think Tank Sports and watch us on YouTube. Here we are, another wonderful Monday night as we sit here and review week 14. Week 14 in the NFL. It feels like it was just the other day and we were going, well, the Eagles might be good. And Mike said, well, the Falcons might be good. And it's week 14 and here we are. So obviously you can see me, and to my right and maybe your left is Mike. How the heck are you?
Good, Dave. I did think the Falcons were going to be good, and it was all right there for them. They were on the precipice, and Marcus Mariota just couldn't take them over the hill. So, yeah, that's our season going quickly, just like our kids' childhood, going much quicker than we wanted to, but still we're here for the ride. And Dave, and that season continued last Thursday evening. Two franchises heading in the same direction, which is not what you would say last year. I guess you could say that last year, but the Rams and the Raiders got together for a rock fight for 3.5 quarters.
A field goal fest.
It was not pretty. What did you call it?
Field goal fest.
Yeah.
The battles of the 50-yard field goals. And yeah,
absolutely. And this, of course, is the famous Baker Mayfield game where he was literally signed on Tuesday by the Rams, who are just devastated this year with injuries and quarterback position notwithstanding. And he came in and Dave, he played well, especially for the circumstances. 22 for 35, 230 yards and a touchdown. Seemed to manage the game. And certainly, when you saw the end, had the captured the excitement, at least for a game, of his teammates. I don't think he's a Matthew Stafford replacement by any means, but they got the job done, and he leads them on 2 game-winning drives to beat the Raiders, the lowly Raiders, 17-16. What did you see from this game, buddy?
Yeah, 14 points in the fourth quarter. Skoranek was his favorite target.
Out of Notre Dame.
Yeah. 7 receptions, 89 yards. I was not trying to pump up Notre Dame there.
No, I know you were.
Stretch of the imagination. But yeah, Mayfield, and we've certainly have had our debates back and forth over the years with the mascot, as Mike likes to call him. Right. But I thought he played good in this game, and it took a little bit of time to get going, but he's still very talented. When he gets protection, he can still make the throws. He's not a terrible quarterback. And let's be honest, he's playing against a very bad Raiders team as well. But regardless, 14 points in the fourth quarter to rally the team for a win. Mike, is interesting as I'm just looking off to the side here at the box score after pulling up the attendance numbers last week and saying all this. And I look down, it's like, it shows 100% attendance at capacity, 71,500. Attendance, 74,738. So
that's how you get the top 10 all above 100.
There's 3,000 people in standing room there at SoFi. So that's crazy. But beyond that, these two, the Raiders are 5-8, the Rams are 4-9. It's a nice story for Baker, but outside
real
of that,
quick, let's take the
cares.
Raiders side of this, Dave. What do they do? I mean, you got to go another year with McDaniels, right? Probably got to kick the can another year with Carr, although they've done that like 5 years in a row at this point. But as you said, the problem is not their offense as ugly as it was at time, and they're trying to really force Josh Jacobs, and 27 rushes for 99 yards, 38 total rushes in the game. But their defense just is not good outside of Max Crosby and his pass rush. They need to really revamp that whole thing. Think about where they were at the start of the season last year with Gruden and Mayock, and Henry Ruggs was still innocent of his terrible crime, and where this franchise has gone since that beginning of last season. You want to talk about people have to have whiplash out there, in the big Roomba, as you like to call it.
The big Roomba. Yeah. No doubt. And I mean, I think, what are you going to do? They have been a little feisty and got and have a couple of wins. So 5-8. So probably, I think you're right. Josh McDaniels gets another year. But I don't know. I mean, if they have another
that
like this
noise or non-sound you just made was like every Raiders fan and the entire front office. They just don't know what to do. So a team that does know what they're doing, the last several games, the Cincinnati Bengals came out and handled business against the piece of trash organization that is the Deshaun Watsons. And
Deshaun Watson's very good.
The Masseuses lose 23-10. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Mixon's back. Everybody's having a good time. In reference to that Queen song we were singing off the air.
Oh yeah,
you do not want to hear. Another just solid win against a tough divisional opponent for the Bengals, and really not much to say about the game other than to acknowledge it happened, I guess.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson, still, I haven't seen much highlights, but 26 of 42 for 276, a touchdown and an interception, 6 carries for 33 yards, but 10 points.
Right.
But they are playing they were playing a Bengals team that is playing at a very, very high level. And now you continue to look at this huge Monday night game, January 2nd, the Bills at the Bengals, which may, decide
might be the last time they meet this season.
The top of the AFC, the number 1 seed, number 2, number 3. It's all going to come down to that. But yeah, the Bengals are playing great, and Jamar Chase, 10 catches for 119 yards. I mean, I know they have gloves on and stuff, but he just throws his hand up and the ball just sticks to it every time. It's between him and Justin Jefferson. It's really ridiculous.
The last 2 or 3 years of wide receiver core is going to be historic all time. And here the Giants are with somebody named Kenny Stills the fourth and Ricky James, bitch, we see these guys all over the place making catches everywhere else. But anyway,
everywhere else.
One of those receivers was on display as the guys with the stars on their helmets got a little bit of a scare, a little sphincter.
Oh, they got more than a little bit of a scare
with their.
I mean, they were losing until like 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. Against the Houston Texans, 27-23. Why don't you run us through that one, buddy?
Yeah, it was, the Texans just, doing good things. They're playing 2 quarterbacks, and
that's weird,
Jeff
right?
Driscoll has that like roll out, and he and gets a nice little touchdown pass there. And
Think Tank Sports the Musical tonight.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've done Think Tank Sports the Musical. But Chris Moore had a huge game, 10 catches, 124 yards. The Texans, showing some feistiness, but ultimately when I saw this and they were showing the end of this game this is what happens to bad teams, right? They fight and fight and fight, and then they lose their fight with 3 minutes to go, and Dallas puts together a 98-yard touchdown drive, just grinds it out, and and scores a touchdown and wins the game 27-23.
Yeah, it was really talent took over the last few minutes.
And that's,
what it was supposed to be, but yeah,
kind of what you expect. Yeah. And so Dallas, 10 points in the fourth quarter makes the difference there. They're plugging along. Still, and this game definitely doesn't give you any more confidence, I don't think, in the Cowboys than we said last week, where we didn't have any more confidence in them. They're 10-3. Yeah, they're 7-1 at home, but the Texans are a very, very bad team. And Dallas just,
it's gotten to the point,
too much messing around. They had
for Dallas, for me, it's gotten to the point where I'm happy Elliott's on the field, because that means Pollard's on the sideline. Speaking of messing around at the running back position, Jerry Jones's undying loyalty to Zeke Elliott's going to end up costing him this season. And I'm fine with that. Believe me, I'm here for all of it. Bring it on.
Here for all of it. So 31 carries for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns for Dallas, and 39 passes for 277 yards. So nice balance, right? But they certainly did not want this type of scare. You did not want the Texans scoring touchdowns in Cowboys Stadium and having to hear Texans fans going crazy. They didn't want that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Where do you want to go next, my friend?
Oh, I think we got to go to Detroit.
Yeah.
Break up the Lions. Are you kidding me? This
I
is
told
a game
you last week. Yeah.
I know. And I didn't listen. If you listen to our Lose With Us segment, this was one that I lost because the Lions were favored by 2. I thought that was ridiculous. The Lions were just, they just looked great. They won 34-23, 464 yards of offense for the Lions. And we know that they offensively are very, very good, Mike, but they held the Vikings and Dalvin Cook, who had a fumble in this game, to 17 rushes for 22 yards.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? Kirk Cousins throws for 400, but that's not the Vikings. I mean, they're a little bit more of a balanced team when they're playing well. And this Detroit team's on fire. You think about, if Buffalo doesn't come back, against them, they've won 6 in a row.
Right.
And they'd be
5 out of 6 is they're not beating the little sisters of the poor either.
No, I mean, they would be 7-6 as it is. They're 6-7, Mike, and still, with an outside shot.
They're right there, buddy.
For the playoffs, that they've got to have some more wins and whatnot, but this team is playing great. And the Vikings, the Vikings have won so many close games this year. And they very well could have lost a whole bunch of those, and we wouldn't be saying, oh, look at the Vikings at, now they're 10-3 with the loss. I just think it's interesting.
It's interesting on this Detroit roster, a running back like Jamal Williams, 6th year out of BYU. That's not a guy that's usually even in the league unless he's some kind of superstar on special teams. 6th year running back out of BYU just is unheard of. And he's, having a career year this year. And he's got 806 yards on the season, 14 touchdowns. And really, when Swift got hurt for the Lions, he actually took them up a notch. And Swift was playing fairly well. So good on Williams for sticking in, persevering and all of that. And do we have to put some respect on Jared Goff's name now?
Oh, absolutely we do. Absolutely.
He's no longer the joke that he was under Jeff Fisher and the few Rams years that, were instantly erased when they traded him for Stafford.
Instantly erased.
Well, we thought, honestly, we thought when he went to Detroit, there was NFL Siberia, and we might never hear from Jared Goff again. You might as well just finish the trip and send him right up to Canada and start his Canadian Football League career. But he's playing excellent, and I think they've got a good roster, and he's their quarterback going forward. I don't think they
Yep.
need to look at a young quarterback. They have that position solved for the near future, and
Yep.
in the NFL, as you're seeing, folks, that's saying something.
Yep.
Look at my Giants. Look how long the Bills toiled looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, we went through a lot of them. Giants
The
the same way.
Bears, the Dolphins haven't had a decent quarterback, and until Tua, it's very few and far between when you get one, and you should hold on to them as long as you can.
Yeah, last 5 games for Goff, 8 touchdown passes, no interceptions. The last 2 it threw for 340 against Jacksonville and 330 against this Minnesota team. Like, he's completing 65% of his passes for 3,300 yards and 22 touchdowns. And this
doesn't get better than that.
No, it's great, and it's a super intriguing. We'll get to the next game when they go play the Jets. I mean, that is as interesting a game as you can have coming down the stretch here. But good for the Lions and good for the city of Detroit.
Yeah.
Our good friend Brendan Burke out there, I know he was on the sidelines, not this week, but the week before. He's having a great time living it up in Detroit. So shout out to Brendan and the Lions.
Check out
they
his
are
new podcast with regarding Christian music too. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but
I teed you up for it and everything, and you just dropped the ball.
Yeah, I figured I'd drop it early because I knew you were going there instead of letting you really, really embarrass me.
Yeah,
but, if you look at our social media, you'll see Brendan Burke, and you can get there from there.
Yeah.
I believe in your ability to track that down. Our tens of fans I'm talking to. Speaking of tracking things down, the Ravens tracked down a win against the Steelers. Steelers playing much better lately, but not a playoff team. This is the ceiling for the Steelers in this current roster. So this is as far as they were going to go. 5-8, and really what little fight they've shown the last few weeks isn't really going to matter in the long run.
No.
And Kenny Pickett got hurt early, and we saw the return.
Right, concussion protocol, right?
Yeah, and so Mitchell Trubisky's back out there, and he did what he does as a backup. He looked okay.
Throws
he's
3
professional
interceptions.
Backup, right? How many interceptions did he throw?
3.
Oh, okay, he didn't look okay.
No, but I mean, when you look at overall his numbers, 22 of 30, 276.
Right.
I think you can say, those are decent numbers, but the 3 interceptions really, really hurts.
And the kid from the Ravens, Hundley, he did very well. He equated himself very well as the backup to Lamar.
And he's played some games before. It's not as if he hasn't been in there. So he's had some experience. Mike, the thing that was, great for the Ravens and terribly hurtful for my fantasy team, because everybody cares about my fantasy football team. J.K. Dobbins comes back, and I'm always hesitant when guys come back to put them in the lineup in the first game, because a lot of times they, fall on their face or whatever. No, J.K. Dobbins goes for 15 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. Thank you so much for sitting on my bench and
the bench of the week.
18 or 20 points. But again, the Ravens are just able to just grind it out. 42 carries, 215 yards on the ground with the touchdown. And
very good defense,
right? Yeah, they get the win without Lamar Jackson. They move to 9-4. They do the things that they need to do to stay in the hunt for everything that they've been working for the season.
We don't really consider them a threat.
No, but there's still a team that somebody's going to have to beat.
And when Lamar's on the field, as much as I like to harass him about his lack of throwing ability, he's a weapon that needs to be dealt with. And until you deal with it, it is a threat for sure. So good job out of the Ravens to get a win with their quarterback down. Speaking of a good job, Dave, the Jaguars
Unbelievable.
Jekyll and Hyde continues to Jekyll and Hyde to
Yeah.
36 points.
Literally, they
Yeah.
Jekyled 2 weeks ago. They hid last week. And now they Jekyled this week.
They're back to Jekyll. Trevor Lawrence, 30 for 42, 368, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. What a game.
Right, which is like his game 2 weeks ago. Same
Right.
kind of thing. 3
And
touchdowns,
then last week he
no
had a couple of
interceptions.
INTs. Right?
And last week he looks horrible, but
Yeah.
you know, they're on the road at Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee is a tough team. You see Derrick Henry finally get back on track, and the Jaguars still kick the crap out of them. It's 36-22. You know, Tennessee scored early and then nothing until the very end of the game.
You see this with talented young teams, wild inconsistency, and then, you know, flashes of really good things. And then, you know, hopefully they mature as a team and a coaching staff, and they can, you know, do that more consistently and have the loss be the wild thing. Travis Etienne.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Etienne. They tried to feed him the ball, 17 carries, only 32 yards, but I think you were going here. My old friend, Evan Engram.
Yes, your Pro Bowl tight end, Evan Engram, 11 catches for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. Targeted 15 times in this game.
At Brute.
Yeah.
That hurt.
And although what might be one of the best catches of the year, the Zay Jones catch in the end zone, as Trevor Lawrence kind of underthrows it a little bit, and it kind of goes through one defender, gets tipped by another one, and then Zay Jones catches it and gets his feet down in the end zone for a touchdown, which was a nice play. If you haven't seen that, go take a look.
I'd call it catch of the year. You know, I'd more lean towards CeeDee Lamb on Thanksgiving kind of thing, but it was extremely good concentration and a good bit of luck for the ball to bounce that way.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
The old friends, Engram and Zay Jones.
Yes, Engram for the Giants, Zay Jones for the Bills. Neither one of them anywhere near as productive for our teams as they have been, particularly Zay Jones for Jacksonville this year. But good for the Jaguars, 5-8, showing some feistiness, shaking away the Urban Meyer and the bar scene and all of that kind of stuff. That is long in the rearview mirror for the Jaguars. But let's see them put a couple of games together consistently and not win one, lose one, win one, lose one. But there is hope in Jacksonville.
Yeah. For the first time since Tom Coughlin.
For the first time in forever.
You are on fire.
Yep, it
Davey
is.
Jukebox.
It is Think Tank Sports the Musical, Part 2. I think Part 1 was sometime last year, and Part 2,
the apology.
Spaceballs, the movie, Part 2, the search for more money.
Person doesn't need any more money or talent or luck. Patrick Mahomes, Dave, with one of the all-time throws that I'm not sure even qualified as forward pass at some level. He rolls out to the right, you know, classic pursuit. Defender isn't sure where to come up and tackle him or stay back and guard the defender behind him.
Yeah, can we guard the defender behind us, please?
Apparently not, because
that was awful.
And he does the fast pitch softball off the hip underhand. Didn't quite have enough arc. It would be called an illegal pitch in softball, but that's okay.
Yep. And he didn't need more than that, Mike, because Juju Smith-Schuster was wide open. Wide open. Like, that defender was going after Mahomes. And like, when are you guys going to be disciplined? I mean, I know it's Denver and whatnot, but you know, there's a guy chasing Mahomes down. Just play back. Instead, he, and Juju Smith-Schuster goes in the end zone.
Russell, hustle, bustle, and Wilson, and all his muscle, 23 for 36, 247 yards, 3 TDs, and a pick. Jerry Jeudy had a nice game for Denver.
Yeah, they showed some feistiness after getting down 27-0.
Right. It's easy when all the pressure's off to have those
You're
kind of
right.
numbers. Yeah. And everyone's messing around, and the Chiefs just keep rolling out there in the AFC West. So good for them.
I guess the afternoon games, I guess that was one of them, right?
Yeah, but really not much to crow about here. Niners 35-7 over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over now. I mean, how many nails do we have to put in
It's
Tom Brady's
I
coffin?
mean, it's not over because they're still in first place,
We can't
even though
get
they're
the
6
silver
and
bullet
7.
through his heart, huh?
Somebody's
Yeah, I mean,
going to do it.
Brady just won't die, but he looked near death in this game. I mean,
Yeah.
it was ugly.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
A
Yeah.
Niners. Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
No.
Yeah. Brock Purdy was,
I was going there.
wow.
Yep.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Clearly he's very talented. And has studied, very well the offense and really, I mean, just, he looks great. There's, and
Right.
Kyle Shanahan's doing a great job with the play calling, getting him in good places, but he made some amazing throws in this game, Mike.
Absolutely. He does have the natural talent for that, and couldn't be paired with a better coach and
Yeah.
a better roster. And, this is the kind of season that is going to propel Purdy to go play somewhere and get paid a decent amount of money when the season's over. They pot committed to Trey Lance. Jimmy G's just definitely going to be gone. He's definitely going to want to start next year somewhere.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if some team didn't come and make a sweetheart deal for Purdy based on what they're seeing. Now, if I was Purdy, I'd have to really think about it, because what I just said, where else are you going to go with that roster, that coaching staff, that they're right on the precipice of winning it all. Their windows, their championship windows open right now.
Yeah.
Right. Not 4 years from now. So
nope.
Lots of interesting water to go, like a bridge over troubled water.
Okay, now we got another one. Now it's like a competition. I do one, Mike does one. The Niners 9-4. The only downer in this game was Deebo Samuel getting hurt. They say he should still be back by the end of the season, which are like, by the end of the season, that's like forever. That's like 4 weeks.
Right.
So, noting his injury is not that bad if he's going to be back in 4 weeks, but we'll see how Purdy continues to go, but the Niners are rolling.
I would lie to you if I say I saw even 1 second of a highlight of the Sea Chickens and the Panthers, buddy. So we can just leave that dog right there, 30-24 Panthers, unless you had something.
No, I mean, Carolina got up early and, Seattle rallied back. They had some chances, down 20-17 in the fourth quarter, and couldn't really do anything. And Carolina just ground and pound.
Well, as a Giant fan, there's 2 teams I'm going to watch the rest of the year.
Into
submission. One of them is the Sea Chickens.
Yeah. And the Lions.
And the Lions. Yep. Those are the 2.
Because they are the teams that have beaten the Giants. The Panthers, 46 rushes for 223 yards. That's all you need to know.
Minutes of the run much? Yeah.
39 minutes of possession to just 20 for the Sea Chickens. So, that's pretty much all you need to know. Very, very bad loss for Seattle. Mike, and then the Sunday night game, could you make an argument this was the most stunning score of the week? The Chargers come out, they're injured on defense. Miami's gone up and down the field on everybody, and the Chargers defense played very, very well in this game. Mike, Tua, 10 of 28, 145 yards and just 1 touchdown. He just looked off. He's looked off now 2 weeks. Now, again, he played the 49ers last week, and they have arguably the best defense in the league, but the Chargers defense is not the best defense in the league. And again, multiple injuries, but they had a good scheme in place. They played a really good game. Justin Herbert, Mike, finally looks like he's finally completely healthy. And of course he gets Mike
Right.
Williams and Keenan Allen back for the first time in weeks. And those guys.
How's that for an influx of talent? A healthy Herbert and two, all pro wide receivers, at least, Pro Bowl wide receivers for sure. So,
And, they made an impact right away. Mike Williams got an early touchdown. Keenan Allen didn't have a touchdown, but he just does what
every
he does.
big play, every first down catch. Yeah.
Yep. They all went to him, sidelines, over the middle, whatever you want to do. 18 of Justin Herbert's 39 completions to those two guys, over 200 yards between the two of them. So the Chargers look good, but this is what the Chargers do. They look terrible, and then they play a great game against a top team. So they're 7-6. Toss it up and let's see what happens this next week, because you really don't have any idea.
Right. And then tonight we have on Monday night, we're recording right now at about 7:40. At 8:15, you got Patriots and Cardinals. What a strange matchup. Very weird. I have no feel for, both of these teams have looked terrible this season. Both of these teams have had fleeting moments of looking pretty good. Both of these teams
fleeting to be the the word there
appear to be on the outside looking in pretty substantially when it comes to the playoffs. The Patriots at 500, 6-6, you'd think they'd still, I guess they're still in the hunt graphic, but
yes, they are.
We'll see what happens tonight. And, if it's worth noting, we'll get back to you next week. Dave, my Giants just came out and got destroyed by a superior football team. A deeper roster, better talent at skill positions, and it showed. I can't point to really one area where it was like, only if we did this better. Yeah, obviously, tackling's been down the last few weeks, and I talked about that last week with the back end of the roster being so depleted. You're really depleted in talent defensively, and that's where that shows up. But Jalen Hurts and the offensive weapons on that team, this is a really, really, I knew they were good, but it's the first time I saw an entire football game. They're really good, Dave. They're really, really good. I don't know what else to say. Daniel Jones did what he could.
31 passes, 31 rushes. Extremely balanced. You could point to the rush defense now for the Giants, but a couple of those touchdowns were late. The long
it wasn't as
runs,
big as the blowout as the score would indicate, but it was substantial.
It was definitely substantial.
It was never in doubt.
But the Eagles just really put the hammer down in the fourth quarter. Couple of long runs, but they clinch a playoff spot. I thought it was nice that the Giants did, after they got way down, did put a nice drive together and get down there in the end zone. Late, so they didn't give up. That's
still showing heart, still showing fight. Absolutely love where they are as an organization and big picture. But this one was obvious, to the point where I'm almost shifting my thinking as far as, do I really want to make the playoffs? What's the point? I'm going to get in and get destroyed by a superior football team and lessen our draft pick because of that.
And that's the big thing. Now you try to look at the balance where, where is the bigger need? And Mike, you've been saying it all year, needing that, A1 receiver. And if they get into the playoffs, sure, are they probably going to get bounced in the first round? Yeah, probably. I mean, the tough part is they could be matched up with, Philadelphia. Well, not Philadelphia likely, but Dallas or Minnesota or San Francisco. And, those teams, I think they'd all be favored against the Giants.
I agree.
So you look at that and you say, well, maybe it is better that we, finish at 500, which kind of is what Mike predicted when we started out. So let's call it like we see it and do the pats on the back, at least for the moment.
I guess
Um,
I just it
but
goes
yeah,
against
I'm
my
with you. It's a
nature
tough
to
spot.
say not to make the playoffs. That goes against, a
Yeah.
competitive spirit and nature that I want us to have too. So
Right,
um
but you're looking at big picture. Your organization has had a major shift
right,
with a new coach, a new GM. You can see things moving upward, and the
right.
way to get upward more long term is to have more talent on the roster. One of the ways to do that is to draft. And obviously, as Mike has said earlier, the wide receiver talent that we have seen coming out of college has just been unbelievable. And it's just going to continue to go that way because college teams continue to throw the ball, much like the NFL teams do. So there's some talent out there for the Giants, I'm sure, Mike. It
Yeah.
doesn't take away from the fact that the Eagles are, a huge rivalry, and to kind of get, not even kind of, to get spanked by them doesn't feel good for
Didn't feel
any
good.
Giants fan.
Did not feel good. But all that being said, next week is the kitchen sink game against the Commanders. That's the
Absolutely.
game. It's going to separate us or them
Yep.
down the stretch here, playoff wise. It's the game where I say kitchen sink. That means we're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at them. Reverses, fake punts, fake field goals. The plays you've been saving all year because you want to just, fool the scouting or whatever it is. You think you're smarter than everybody. Now's the time to show it because we need this game not only for the playoff picture, but just to reverse the losing trend and to keep the team bought in for the rest of the season. So
Yeah, and I think with Brian Dable, knowing his time with Buffalo, and even this
it won't
year,
be an issue. Yeah.
no, I think you very well are going to see some plays that you haven't seen all year.
Oh, right.
It's just the question's going to be, does it get, executed really at the point when it
We
comes
have the
in?
talent. Right.
It's there. The players can do it. Just does it happen at the right spot? And that's really what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dave, let me paint a picture. I was in a household that are big Jets fans, and so only one TV available at the 1 o'clock slot Sunday, and because I was the guest there, they kept the Giants game on, and in the
Oh.
third, like late third quarter, I was like, listen, I appreciate it, but I'm almost getting aggravated now that we're not watching the Jets and the Bills
Yeah.
because my game was such a blowout. So run us through the 20-12 slap fight that was Bills Jets.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I myself was at my daughter's birthday party. So I missed almost all of the first half. I got home just in time to see the Bills touchdown drive at the end, near the end of the second quarter. And the response I got from some Bills fans was, well, he didn't miss much. And really didn't. Big play on that game, on that drive, is the 4th and 1. The Bills are sitting there trying to draw them off sides, and they do a little sneak, which Nance and Romo were on the game, which we had known. And I don't remember the Bills doing this, but apparently they said it had happened before. I was thinking they were thinking the Chiefs had done this, but Dawson Knox all of a sudden goes in motion, comes down the line, and then gets underneath the center and looks like he's going to take the snap. And the Jets guy literally jumps right over Mitch Morse, the center, and just tackles the guy. So 4th and 1, they get the penalty, they draw him off sides, and then the Bills go down and get a touchdown. And yeah, the Jets tied it in the third quarter, but the Jets, and look, Mike White,
the kid got
he threw 44 passes in this game.
Yeah.
And he did play admirably, but he took some brutal, vicious hits. The second one, both legal, nothing illegal about it. The second one by Matt Milano, I mean, it almost looked like he was going to break him in half.
Yeah.
And he went out. Very, very surprised to see him come back. But as soon as the game was over, he went to the hospital for internal injuries. Have to guess it, broken ribs. Tony Romo was speculating that on the broadcast as well. I mean, you don't have to be Tony Romo to figure that out. You could see where he got hit, Tony.
You're right.
But I think for me, the Bills defense played really, really good in this game. 4 sacks. They got the 2 turnovers. They did just enough to win. And it's really interesting. I was listening to people talking about the Eagles and how the last 2 games, the Eagles have played arguably their 2 most complete games of the season. And you look at the Bills' last 2 games, not really complete, definitely not complete games, but kind of grinded out. We need to win these games. They're divisional games, and they win and move on. It just had me thinking, it's been a while since the Bills have played a really good, complete game, and the Eagles are playing really great right now. Doesn't mean that will stop, but I just thought it's okay as long as the Bills keep winning. You just want to see them play their best games in the playoffs. And it had me thinking, are the Eagles playing their best games now?
Too early?
Too early? Hard to say. I mean, you don't want to not play well in the regular season, and you get the home field, and the Eagles are 12-1. They clinched playoff berth and all that. But it just had me thinking it's kind of 2 different paths potentially to playoff success.
Interesting thoughts for sure. And you think about, we said earlier in this podcast, when do you want to peak? You spend so much time and effort getting to playing your best football, from the draft all the way up through preseason and so when you get there, you'd never want to say you got there too early and we got to slow down. It was so hard to get here. That you just want to spend as much time and effort maintaining it. And I think some organizations don't do that very well, but the Bills do, and I think that they're going to round into shape just nicely here. And I'm kind of happy how they're playing now, because I know what's ahead of them potentially, and I know their abilities. So easy for me to say, being an unemotional third party.
But you're right there though. I'm okay. They need to win these games. They don't need to, play their best, but they need to not make mistakes. And that's, for the most part, what they've done in these last 2 games. Just played solid, been able to make the plays when they needed to. The defense, is for the most part very healthy. We know Von Miller's gone for the year, but you saw some great plays by, Russo and Tim Settle in this game. So they have enough, to be able to rotate the defensive line and be successful there. So, but yeah, so I agree with you.
So let's take a peek at the standings, Dave. I wanted to ask you this question. I was thinking about it the last couple of days. How many actual teams do you feel can win the Super Bowl? We're talking about playoff appearances, and that's great. But when you look at the top end of this league in the NFL, how many actual teams can win it all? Give me, name them for me in your mind, if you would.
Yeah. The Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. I think there's no doubt those 3 teams. I don't think any other of the teams in the AFC are legitimate, Super Bowl type teams. The Eagles for sure. The 49ers, I think that's 5. I don't have any confidence beyond that. I don't have confidence in the Vikings. Because it's been so many close games. You look at they're a -1 in their point differential. And the Cowboys, look, their defense has been good. They've only given up 229 points. So it's still, the verdict is out. I don't care how well they play. They've got to perform, and they've got to win playoff games. And there's other teams there that I have more confidence in. So that's 5, 3 from the AFC, 2 from the NFC.
Very interesting. I am a little more exclusive. I don't think that, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to ask you, because I want to know if I'm being biased. I don't think the Cowboys are a legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I think they're right there. They're the next level down, the top or the next level down. But that's where I would draw the line, and I really waffle when I throw Minnesota in the top four, or top five. But in the AFC, there's no arguing. No Dolphins. How do you?
Oh no.
No,
their defense.
He goes, oh no.
No, and again, +4 point differential. No, I mean their defense is just not good enough. They have spurts, right? They're able to rush the passer, and they have some creativity as far as where those blitzes come from at certain points in certain games, but it's not consistent enough for me to say, yeah, that's a team that I feel confident in that can get to the Super Bowl.
Would make me the case. Well, I'm going to make you a case for the San Diego, now Los Angeles Superchargers at 7-6, healthy Justin Herbert, 2-star wide receivers just came back, healthy on defense with Derwin James, 3-3 at home, but 4-3 on the road. So that suggests the DNA of a winning team for sure. 2-3 in their division, 5-4 in the conference. If they put a run together here, Dave, that's a team you don't want to see if you're the Titans in the first round or whoever it is they might sneak in to play against. That's a team that could really put the fear more than the Ravens, in my opinion, or certainly the Jets or the Dolphins when it's playoff time. I think that when the season's over, we're going to say the Chargers are in that conversation with these other 4 or 5 teams.
Entirely possible. And if you look at their schedule, Mike, they do play the Titans this week, so it's going to be a huge game. It's in LA. Currently they're favored by 3, but then they play the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos.
Okay.
So they have
very winnable all the way around.
They have a favorable schedule. Get playing well. 2 at home, 2 on the road. They certainly are in a spot where I could very well see them doing that. And are they getting healthy at the right time on offense? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's look at next week's schedule, and then we'll do some get out of here, and then we'll get out of here, buddy. This Thursday in 3 days, you got Niners Sea Chickens on the Amazon Game of the Week, and that does have playoff implications for sure.
Yeah, surprised San Francisco's only favored by 3.5.
Right?
I know they're in Seattle, but still.
Factor. Yeah. Got to be the Brock Purdy, that was a nice game, but he is still a rookie.
Yeah.
Type of factor. And then we get into their first round of Saturday games, Dave.
Triple header on Saturday.
Yeah. Get comfy. None of them are great games. Well, I guess Ravens, Browns are always hard hitting and tough nosed. But I don't expect it to be a particularly good football game.
No.
But 1 o'clock slate is Colts Vikings, then the Ravens Browns at 4:30, and then the 8:15 kick of the Buffalo Bills and the 2-and-ons, Miami Dolphins.
Supposed to be snow and bad weather.
Yeah,
this big storm that's coming across the country that's going to affect a lot of us. So we're going to wait and see how that, the timing plays out on that, but it's not going to be hospitable for the Dolphins, weather-wise, fan-wise, or any otherwise.
Nice.
As far as that
the way
goes.
You're talking.
As
for me, for my Giants, we got to wait till the Sunday night game while everyone else is home nursing their bruises and their egos for the week. Giants Commanders 8:20 on NBC. Commanders favored by 4.5. Over under is 40. Pretty low, but probably pretty accurate, as Vegas tends to get those things right. Yep. Anything else during the week that
No, I
got your
mean,
attention?
we talked about Chargers and
Lions,
Titans.
Jets.
So that's and
Good.
Lions, Jets. I think those are, very, very exciting. I'm going to be curious, Mike, to see how the Cowboys do at Jacksonville
Mm,
in the 1 o'clock slot. Jacksonville getting some love. Dallas is only favored by 4.5.
yeah, I saw that.
Uh,
Usually they know, like I said, 45 seconds ago.
yeah.
Vegas knows what they're talking about with these things. So
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, does Jacksonville have the ability to put two good games in a row together? I'm sure it's going to be very hyped up in Jacksonville. Dallas is coming in. Look, we just won.
yep.
We're playing great. So let's see how that plays out.
The Monday night game, boy,
Oh,
in a time capsule would have been a great game. But this year, Rams, Packers, both franchises going absolutely nowhere.
yeah.
The only reason, I guess, well, we'll watch because it's football and we're gluttons and we love football.
Yeah.
But see if Aaron Rodgers is truly dead and buried here on the season. Does Jordan Love get a little bit of playing time just to see what they got there? How we thought the Rodgers situation was settled, and it's been nice to have a break all these weeks of the regular season.
Yeah.
But if they start playing Jordan Love a little bit here to end the season, just and you almost have to, as a GM, to do your diligence to see what you have. Is it a commodity that can be traded? Is he someone that we want to hold on to? Is he someone that you just want to cut bait and move on from? Those reps in regular season games are invaluable for that evaluation. So, if you're watching for that reason, I feel bad for you. You should really look into
Yeah, right.
hobbies or members of the opposite sex or whatever. But yeah, really sad to see that Monday night game not mean anything. But it's a changing of the guards. There's no reason really to be sad. It's just different.
Yeah. Well, and you have to figure that when they did the schedule out, before the season started, they thought this is going to be great. Rams, Green Bay, NFC playoff implications, and it just dripping with all this, amazing storylines. And instead you got Baker Mayfield and an aging Aaron Rodgers and a 4-9 Rams team against a 5-8 Green Bay team. I guess they probably would have thought records for both teams would be reversed at this point.
Yeah.
Not so fast, my friend.
No, thank you, Lee Corso. Speaking of not so fast, my friend, we do a segment on the show, folks, called Get Out of Here, where I will nominate teams that are on the losing end of a record and just not having a great season, and ask Dave whether they should get out of here for the regular season or not. It's been a few weeks since we've looked at this list. So Dave, you want to tell us where we're at with who's previously gotten out of here, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So 8 teams on the list: Texans, Lions, Panthers, Steelers, Jaguars, Raiders, Bears, and Rams.
So I noticed there's a few teams there that all of a sudden are no longer maybe out here or potentially still around and in the hunt graphic. In particular, the one that stuck out to me, obviously, is the Detroit Lions, since I've been seeing them in my sleep as a Giants fan. Dan Campbell's, chewing off an ass cheek or whatever it is he said he was going to do. Make me the case then, Dave, for them to be resurrected.
Well, I mean, you look at the Lions and, with victories right over the Giants and I believe the Sea Chickens.
I think you're right.
So their conference record at 5-4, definitely, Giants 3-5-1, Sea Chickens 5-5. The offense, the way it's rolling, you have to feel
they lost to the Sea Chickens.
They did lose to the Sea Chickens,
but they did beat the Commanders.
Okay, I knew they had beaten some of those teams, right? So,
yeah.
So there's those 4
Same
teams in there, and Detroit's 2-1. against the other three there. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you have to, I think the Lions, they've pumped some life into their team, and they're right there, Mike.
Okay.
They were not earlier in the year. I'm thinking that the Lions get resurrected and
Right.
come back to us, Detroit.
The Detroit Lions get back in. All right. That felt good. Not as good as a get out would feel, but I understand. You mentioned the Steelers. Do you want to bring them back or no?
No.
Anybody else you mentioned that deserves consideration?
Well, the Jaguars. I mean, they're on the fringe there. They're 5-8. But they have
only 2 games back. Yeah.
Right. 5-4 in the conference. Better than the Jets at 5-5. They have to play the Jets down the stretch here. So that could be a major factor, not this week, but the week after they play the Jets. Could they battle for it? Yeah. Probably a little too inconsistent though, for my liking. I think they stay away.
Stay out of here.
Yeah. But the other team,
keep them monitored.
Yes, but we'll monitor the lifeline
Jaguars.
there. The Carolina Panthers, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that the Carolina Panthers could really do anything here. And but here they are at 5-8. They're only a game back in the division. 3-1 record, and
a game back to a horrible Buccaneers team we just talked about.
Right. So, they could go, let's see, they're 7, 8, 9. They're in a 3-way tie for 10th. But
wow.
If they were to, advance, they could go from 10th to 4th pretty quickly. I mean, that's how bad the NFC playoff picture is. I mean, the Falcons are also there too. The Packers are also there. The difference with the Packers, at least, is they're chasing a Vikings team that's 5 games ahead of them So that's not happening. But
so the Panthers have Steelers, Lions, Bucks, and Saints, to end the season here. So certainly it's right there in front of them.
Yep. They have some divisional games, and that could certainly help them.
Yeah. So bring them back. Let's resurrect.
So we're going to resurrect
Panthers. Get back
Lions and Panthers and Bears. Oh my.
Not Bears.
Not the Bears. No. Not the Bears.
You confused me for a
second.
No,
I can't actually resurrect the Bears because they have officially been eliminated from the playoffs.
And AFC, is there anyone else we need to talk about?
Nope. I literally, I think the Jaguars are really the only. I'm not sold on the Raiders, or the Browns at this point, or the Steelers. I mean, they're all at 5-8, but it's an uphill battle for them more so than it is in the NFC. So yeah, I don't foresee any of those. Jacksonville maybe, but they're just a bit inconsistent.
I agree. Wonderful. So that hopefully will give us an idea of where we are with the playoff picture and the season so far here through week 14 of the NFL. We're certainly enjoying the games. The quality of football starting to pick up too, which I love.
Yes.
It's been, excuse me, it's been a minute since we've had consistently good football games, in all the time slots. So, looking forward to that down the stretch. Here with the NFL as the playoff picture becomes clearer and clearer, and the draft positions for those teams that don't make the playoffs also become clear. And there's so much drama and excitement around the NFL. It's really a fun time to be a fan. So folks, continue to follow us here at Think Tank Sports as we report back to you as we observe and report on the NFL. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on the IG. That's about as wide as we'll go social media wise. Anywhere you get podcasts, you can get this podcast. We're really making a push in 2023 for YouTube, folks, and asking you to like and subscribe. Just search Think Tank Sports when you open your YouTube app. Give us a like and subscribe. We'd love the comments and feedback as we continue to push forward here into the new year here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.